25 years ago, I was doing full-time engineering, and now I'm doing full-time art, and it's been this very gradual transition going from one to the other. I went to school at MIT in Boston for engineering, and when I got out of school, I moved to Silicon Valley pretty much right away, and have lived in San Francisco pretty much ever since. So when I was at MIT, I kind of realized that I didn't want to just be an engineer. I felt like something was missing in my life, and I needed a little more balance than just engineering. So I started doing filmmaking, and when I got out of MIT, I continued that a little bit, almost as a hobby. I made one, I would say, serious film, and then pretty much 10 years later, I kind of shifted from engineering and then filmmaking into electronic art. And in the beginning, and I would say still now, I use both my engineering background and my filmmaking background in making the electronic work that I do. The works that are in this show have to do with kind of originally the experiment that I made was in the late 1990s, early 2000. And I was interested in what could be done with low resolution, what could kind of be presented with low resolution and have some sort of poetic substance to it. The way they're made is I start with a video, typically that I have shot, and I run that video through a process, an electronic process, to convert it from normal definition, maybe 1 million pixels, which is what a typical computer screen is, 1 to 2 million pixels, down to, for example, the work behind me is about 1,500, actually 1,200 pixels. So I compress the resolution a lot to try to get to, if you will, some sort of essence of the imagery that's being presented. With these works, all the details are gone, so your brain is kind of paying attention to things other than the details, and in particular to the movement that's happening within the images. And in fact, the movement within these images is the most important thing that's going on with them in terms of how you're able to perceive them. If you pause them, you generally can't tell at all what you're looking at. So it's really the movement that is presenting the imagery to the brain that makes them comprehensible. Tilted Plane is a work that I kind of had this notion of what would it be like to walk inside an image, to be inside an image like that with that resolution. And so I created a work that had a distance between the pixels of about 2/3 of a meter. And so you can actually walk in between the pixels within that image. But because of that, it's kind of like the book Flatland, if you know that one. I think it's called Flatland or Flatlands. Because you're in the middle of the image, it's so large that you can't really see it, but you can feel it. And that's kind of the important thing of that work, is there are birds flying in the space, and you can't see them, but you can definitely feel them there. It's almost like the shadow goes by you and you know what it was, even though you sense it more than you see it. Yeah, the work that's behind the front desk is called Untitled for the Sun, and it is I wanted to design and build a clock that you didn't have to set. So the work is connected to a light sensor outside, and it simply measures the amount of light outside, and it detects the beginning of the day and the end of the day. So for example, if it reads 50.000, it means you're at midday, which has nothing to do with what time it is. It has to do with just where the sun is relative to the earth. So it's kind of a circadian clock. And in fact, it even has jet lag. You take it to a new location, and it takes 3 or 4 days to, synchronize itself to the rhythms of the sun in that new location. So for me, the work, I think it's called Home Movie -1040-1, and that's simply refers to how many pixels are describing that home movie, 1,040 pixels. I bought probably over the years, last 5 years, 200 to 300 hours of home movies from eBay. When I refer to home movies, by the way, I'm referring to film specifically, because things really changed, obviously, when people did what I started shooting home videos. But with home movies, I was really shocked, even though it was kind of predictable, at how similar they all were to each other. I mean, they were literally almost identical. You had the birthday parties, you had Easter, you had Christmas, you had Niagara Falls. Most of my home movies were from the United States. You had the Grand Canyon. And I don't mean one people's films had the Grand Canyon. I mean 20 of the 100 that I bought had the Grand Canyon, and 20 had Niagara Falls and the unwrapping of the presents. And so the technology that I use, this low resolution technology, what it does is it eliminates the details from the work, from the imagery that you're looking at. So in the case of the home movies, because the actual subjects were so similar, if I essentially get rid of the people's faces, then the home movies have a certain universality to them. I look at them and they could be my home movies because I can't quite see who the people are in them, but I can see their unwrapping presence. And so this process that I use of low resolution kind of inherently, in this case, was a universalizing process of making them have a connection to everyone.